The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life. Commander Anna Reeves stood at attention, her jaw set firm as she watched the crimson-marked sectors expand across the star map. The Vraxian horde had consumed another 3 systems in the past rotation. 12 billion souls gone. The mathematics are simple, croaked Ambassador Thelvar, his amphibious skin glistening under the chamber's cool lights. The Vraxians possess overwhelming numbers. Their warriors regenerate from catastrophic wounds. They do not fear death because death for them is temporary. Leo Martinez, the human diplomatic envoy, leaned forward in his seat. His weathered hands gripped the armrest as he studied the tactical display. 27 species had thrown their finest military forces at the Vraxians. 27 species had watched those forces disappear into the grinding machinery of war, never to return. How many? Leo asked quietly. 17 trillion souls have been harvested, replied the Corthan representative, her crystalline voice cracking with grief. The Vraxians do not simply kill. They absorb. Every fallen warrior becomes part of their collective consciousness, their biological computing matrix. The more we fight, the stronger they become. Anna's eyes narrowed. She had read the reports, studied the battle recordings. The Vraxians were apex predators evolved on a death world that made Earth look like a paradise resort. They had conquered through a simple, terrible equation. Numerical superiority plus biological immortality equals inevitable victory. The Council proposes total evacuation of the contested sectors, Thelvar continued. We establish a defensive perimeter at the Kalthus line and pray they do not breach it. Humanity, as the newest member species, will of course be granted refuge behind. No, Leo said. The word hung in the air like a physical presence. I'm sorry? Thelvar's throat sac inflated with confusion. Humanity volunteers to enter the Warzone, Anna stated, rising to her feet. We'll deploy the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet, 7,000 ships, 2 million personnel. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien languages. The galactic translator struggled to keep pace with the overlapping expressions of shock, disbelief, and something that sounded suspiciously like pity. You are children in cosmic terms, the Corthan representative said gently. Your species discovered faster than light travel merely 100 rotations ago. The Vraxians have been at war for 10,000 years. This is not courage, this is suicide. Anna's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Perhaps. But humanity has a saying. The only way out is through. 3 weeks later, the human fleet entered the Keswick system, the heart of the contested war zone. The Vraxian armada waited, a writhing mass of bioships that numbered in the hundreds of thousands. The galaxy watched through long-range sensors, expecting to witness humanity's swift and brutal extinction. The battle began predictably. The Vraxians swarmed forward, their organic vessels regenerating from weapons fire almost as quickly as the damage was inflicted. Human ships fell, their crews consumed by boarding parties of chitinous warriors that could survive in hard vacuum. Then something changed. The human fleet began a fighting retreat, drawing the Vraxians deeper into the system. Ambassador Thelvar watched from the Council observation deck, his heart sinking. It was happening again, another species broken against the Vraxian tide. But the humans didn't break. They fell back in perfect coordination, their formation never collapsing despite horrific losses. They led the Vraxians on deeper and deeper toward the system's dying star. What are they doing? Whispered the Corthan representative. Leo stood beside her, his face unreadable. Something we learned a long time ago. Anna's voice crackled across the command frequency. All ships, this is Reeves. Execute Protocol Thermopylae. I repeat, execute Thermopylae. The human fleet suddenly pivoted. Instead of fleeing, they turned and charged directly into the Vraxian formation. It was madness, tactical suicide. The aliens in the council chamber recoiled in horror. But the humans weren't attacking. They were positioning. 300 human vessels, already crippled and venting atmosphere, activated their fusion cores simultaneously, not to fire weapons, to overload. The resulting chain reaction tore through the Vraxian formation like a scythe through wheat. Hundreds of thousands of bioships simply ceased to exist, vaporized in a cascade of nuclear fury. The remaining human fleet, which had used the kamikaze vessels as cover, emerged from the firestorm and began systematic elimination of the scattered survivors. They targeted regeneration nodes, severed neural connections, turned the Vraxians' biological advantages into vulnerabilities. In 6 hours, it was over. The Vraxian Armada, the same force that had destroyed civilizations spanning millions of years, had vanished. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. They sacrificed 300 ships, Thelvar breathed. 300 crews, they just chose the manner of their deaths, Leo finished quietly. The Vraxians absorb the fallen, yes, but they can't absorb atoms scattered across half a light second. Those crews knew they were dying. They made sure it mattered. Over the following months, the pattern repeated. Human forces entered contested systems, engaged the Vraxians, and then, through tactics the Council could barely comprehend, entire enemy armies simply vanished. Sometimes through coordinated nuclear detonation, sometimes by luring them into stellar phenomena, once memorably by evacuating an entire orbital station and ramming it into a Vraxian mothership at relativistic speeds. The humans never sought glory. They rarely spoke of their victories. When pressed, Anna simply said, "We learned warfare on a world where everything was trying to kill us, including each other. We learned that sometimes the only difference between the living and the dead is what you're willing to sacrifice." The Vraxians, for the first time in their 10,000-year rampage, retreated. They had finally encountered a species more terrifying than themselves, a species that didn't just accept death as a possibility, but weaponized it as a strategy. The galaxy watched and learned a new word, human, and they learned what it meant.